Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. It's that time again. No more music. No music this time. I'm going to get right into it. I got somewhere to be in an hour, and we're going to do this in an hour. I am JT, aka the Master, and this is JT Jerry Taylor, Prince, the Master Plan. I'm only exclusively on YouTube, and hopefully that you're watching and be able to get some pointers. This is week 13, people. Two teams, only two teams are on a bye: the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. So we're not going to be talking about, quite naturally, these two teams, and we're not going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills or the New England Patriots because they played this past Thursday. So we're not talking about those things. But we have a nice slate of teams that we're going to be talking about. Some primetime games, some really marquee games that are going to uh, be worth looking at. And the fact is this. The fact is this, people. This is week 13. Excuse me. This is week 13. And with week 13, there's only, including this week, 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left before most of your league's playoffs. Hopefully, you're in a position that you're comfortable, that you know you're going to get a playoff spot, or you're fighting to get that last spot or to actually get a spot in the playoffs. I've been trying to, throughout the fantasy season, football season, with sleepers, players I like, waiver wire picks, and the like, to get you to this point where you're either in the playoffs or you have a good chance of getting a position in the playoffs. Or you got the best record. Hey, that happens. That happens. You have been fortunate enough to have the best record. And you know what happens is this: most teams, and I have to say this, most teams that are in a position that are have the best record in the league have the least injuries at the or have injuries at that aren't season ending. Let me put it that way. May get nicked up in a game, may gather fantasy points before they get nicked up. Like I said before, people, fantasy is skill and a lot of luck. And I'm talking about good luck. I'm not talking about bad luck. Bad luck is when you put your players in the lineup and expect them to get the fantasy points that you think they're going to get, and they give you a win. Not the players. It's bad luck. Bad luck is when you put your players in, and for whatever reason, bad matchup or whatever, they don't give you the points that you expect, or they get injured. And it's not just a single week injury. That's bad luck. And then you have to navigate that. And you got to navigate that uh, through the waiver wire or trades, depending on you if you have the type of league that trades. I'm in one league that no one trades. Whatever you draft is what you have for the majority of the season. You got to work the waiver wire uh, to improve your team or try to improve your team. I'm in a league like that. Not that we can't do trades, but no one trades in the league. So what I'm saying is this: hopefully you're in a position that you have the opportunity to get in the playoffs. Yesterday, on an FSP show, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you'll find them on YouTube, on other platforms too, Facebook also. That, are you okay? Huh? Are you all right? On the FSP show that I'm out of the playoffs in 1 week. It happens. It's happened. Unfortunately, that league was unfortunately in that league. Last season, I was in the championship, and in this season, I'm not even close. Not even in the playoffs. Can't get in the playoffs. It happens. Not the first time it happened, and it's not going to be the last. That's the idiosyncrasy of fantasy football. One week or 1 year, 1 season, you're in the championship, and the next week, next season, you are out on the outside looking in. It happens, and it is what it is. Things don't work out. Like I said, fantasy football is some skill and a lot of luck. And the luck I had was bad this season. It happens. And if you've been playing fantasy football for as long as I have, you learn to accept that, move on, wait till the next season, strategize and prepare yourself for what you want to do next season. Anyway, we have a good slate of games this week, and when the game comes up, I'll talk about it. But we're going to start on the games, and let me bring Mr. FSP. And quite naturally, I got no picture of. Oh, I got a picture. Okay. Now we. I don't know what's going on. I get a picture. I know picture. Anyway, let me add Mr. FSP to the show. Welcome, Mr. FSP. How you be?
I'm great. Not today, Satan. Not today. That's what the shirt says.
Okay. All right. It is today, but it is today. Anyway.
It is today. Oh, see?
Yeah. Okay.
That way, Satan. I mean, Jerry.
All right. Let's move on to the first game on the slate. 1:00 game. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. Hopefully we can finish these slated games by 11 because I gotta get out of here by 11:00. I'll take the Atlanta Falcons. Mr. FSP will take the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we'll go from there. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Put some clothes on, Vic.
What are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
I got some clothes on.
Yeah, okay. Okay. No one needs to
now I'm gonna turn the camera off since people want to play.
Anyway, this is what we're going to be talking about. I'll take the Atlanta Falcons. Mr. FFP will take the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do I want to play Marcus Mariota against the Pittsburgh Steelers? You know what? I know TJ Watt is back, and I know that defense it shows a marked improvement, but Marcus Mariota is a mobile quarterback, and he gets fantasy points not just from throwing the football, but also running the football. And I'll tell you, in a 2-quarterback league, I would play Marcus Mariota, not as a single. I mean, you only have Kyler Murray and Sam Darnold that aren't playing this week. I'm pretty sure you can find a replacement if you have one of those quarterbacks. I don't know why you would have Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, but one of those quarterbacks in a 1-quarterback league instead of Marcus Mariota. So, but I would play Marcus Mariota in a two quarterback league. I've never been a big fan. I know he's been sporadic. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's not worth all that. Let me put it that way. And I'm talking about Cordell Patterson. It's a timeshare. It's a timeshare with Tyler Algier. And the fact is, I don't think with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you depend on Cordell Patterson to get a touchdown in this game. I can't recommend you playing Cordell Patterson. No, it's my time. It's my show. Okay? Okay?
Oh, Jerry. Oh, well.
Play Drake London. I like Drake London against this Pittsburgh Steelers pass defense. And with that being said, I really can't say anybody else. So it's going to be short, and it's on Mr. FSP.
I'll be very quick. Deontay Johnson looks to get a lot of targets along with Pickens and Freiermuth. Can't tell you to play Najee Harris because we don't know how he's going to perform. Pittsburgh's been effective running Warden, McFarland, and Harris, all three. So staying away from the run game. But I will play the defense in this game.
Okay. We move on to Denver.
Leave that message up there. I mean, I got clothes on. And that rate, you'll be in. Thank you, Q. Thank you, Q. That's what
Anyway, let's move on to the Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. I'll take the Baltimore Ravens. Mr. FSP will take the Denver Broncos. This is very tough defense. Very tough defense. They allow, 15 points a game? Thereabouts. Maybe 16, 17 points a game. So Baltimore is going to need to score some points. I know they're playing at home. And I know people like Lamar Jackson. I said at the beginning of the season, and I keep saying that I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan. He's inconsistent at best. He's not the most accurate thrower, but he does run a lot, and this is a running team. And so you do have to play Lamar Jackson in here. Now, who's the running back? Gus Edwards? Kenyon Drake? If Gus Edwards is healthy, you play Gus Edwards. And you play Mark Andrews. This passing team has been horrible ever since they conformed the offense to Lamar Jackson. And that's a fact. And they haven't had a really big-time wide receiver to even give Lamar Jackson a chance to shine as a passer in this offense. So Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, and Mark Andrews. Mr. FSP, you got Denver Broncos.
With that really good defense, it's going to be tough for Lamar and company to do whatever. But on the same side of the token, I think Russ and company has proven not to be that productive. I mean, they're averaging, 16 points a game? 15? And, Jerry Jeudy returns. That's good. But that cuts into Cortland Sutton, who's questionable. Also, Mike Boone returns. How will he fit in there with Latavius Murray and Chase Edmonds? I think because Boone's been in the system longer and younger, he might get a little bit more run. But is he worth starting this week? Probably not. Going into your playoff weeks, you got to see if he's able to carve out a niche in that running backfield. I can't recommend you even play anybody but a running back from Denver because Russ is not getting a lot of yards passing the ball. The only person doing well is DeLuch, the tight end, and he's not even being consistent.
Okay. Now let's move on to the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. I'll take the Bears. Mr. FSP will take Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. You play Justin Fields. He's coming back from a shoulder injury.
Still has it.
he's coming back from a shoulder injury, and I don't know how effective he'll be. Let me put it this way: it's on a non-throwing shoulder, so I don't know if it's going to. Well, you don't know how much it's going to affect him. But if he's been the number one fantasy quarterback for the last few weeks, you got to play him. You got to play him and hope and cross your fingers and hope for the best. Let me put it that way. Since they don't have a really good backup, David Montgomery is going to get the crux of the work. You play David Montgomery, and you play Cole Kmet. Now, I like Cole Kmet earlier in the season, and I dropped him, unfortunately, because the fact is, earlier in the season, they were just running the football, and they had the least amount of passes over the first 3 weeks of the season. Now that's changed. Now they open up the offense and allow Justin Fields to pass the ball more, and be more free what he does, either running the football or passing. You play Cole Kmet. Darnell Mooney's out. He's out for the season. Chase Claypool is the number one wide receiver. That's not much of a number one wide receiver. I can't, even though they're passing the ball more, I can't consistently say Claypool. Cole Kmet is the best friend of a young the tight end, the best friend of a young quarterback. Anyway, Mr. FSP, you have the Green Bay Packers lying on the couch.
Yeah. I'm doing what Aaron Rodgers says. RELA.
Just give me Green Bay. Just give me Green Bay.
Hey, I'm giving you Green Bay.
Just give me Green Bay.
Don't yell at me. I'm giving you Green Bay. I'm giving you Green Bay. Don't tell me how to give you Green Bay. I'm giving you Green Bay. He told everybody to relax, right? He's not. Q said something yesterday on FSP show. This might be Aaron Rodgers.
Let me before you do that, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something.
You want me to get through it, but then
wait. No. This is my show. You're not running it. Let me ask you something. Okay. Was Q laying down or was he sitting up on the show?
Actually, he was leaning back and not in the screen because
he was in the screen the majority of the time. He wasn't laying down. But go ahead.
Can I finish, please? Thank you. So what was that? Oh, so like Q said, this might be Aaron Rodgers' last game. This season, especially with a broken thumb, rib injury, and some of the ailment he has, right? The only person that's probably worth playing, well, two people probably worth playing, is Aaron Jones, and I'm not that high on Watson. I'm not, because his productivity is based upon what Aaron Rodgers does. And if he's telling everybody to relax and, hey, I'm into it mathematically eliminated. If you look at it after this week, Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken, is mathematically eliminated. Minnesota wins the division if they win this game and Detroit loses. I don't know about you, but I don't see Green Bay getting a wild card. So with that being the case, I can't, again, I think this is the third week in a row I'm telling everybody, don't play Aaron Rodgers. I'm right past two. So we'll see what happens. Even though he says he owns them, he's relaxing in his home in Chicago. So.
All right, next game is this. It's the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. I'll take the Houston Texans. Mr. FSP will take the Cleveland Browns, and you make it short. You make it short. If you don't, you're getting muted. If you don't,
it's going long.
If you don't,
you're the one that's going long. Q even said it.
I don't care what. Look, this is my show. I can do what I want. Isn't that what you said?
Oh my God!
Isn't that what you said? Hello.
old man. Come on, dude. Will you just keep going?
Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Oh, it's never mind. Never mind. Anyway, yes, I'm on one today. Exactly. Yes, I know how it is on somebody else's show, and
Oh
I'm
my.
not taking it on this show. Anyway, Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. I'll take the Houston Texans. Mr. FFP, take the Cleveland Browns. I can't play the quarterback Kyle Allen. That's not going to happen. Damian Pierce has been inconsistent, but Cleveland has been giving up yards on the ground. So you got to play Damian Pierce in the flex position. Brandon Cooks is out. Nico Collins is the number one wide receiver. I would play Nico Collins because I do believe the Houston Texans are going to be playing from behind. They're only 1-9-1. They've only won one game this year. They're the worst team in football. They have the number one pick so far. So that's all I have. Mr. FSP, you got the Cleveland Browns.
The return of the Watson, not the Mac. I was listening to a show, and they said one of the callers, Cleveland Brown fan, said, "I wish they would let Brissett finish out the season, and once Cleveland's mathematically eliminated, they play Watson." There's going to be some frustration in the first couple quarters, I believe, unless Cleveland's running the ball. I suspect it's going to be a heavy, what do you call it? What's his name? Chubb day. With Njoku out, Trent Trauman or Truman, I can't get his name right, is the starting tight end. That's Watson's favorite target until he gets accustomed to, or Amari Cooper gets accustomed to his ball. Tension is going to be high. We'll see what happens. But Cooper, Chubb are definite starts. I'm a wait and see on Watson. But some people play him right away. Some people play him right away after 2 years. Almost 2 years, I should say. It's like, what, 690-something days or something since he played. But, yeah, I wouldn't start him right away, especially not in your playoff.
All right, next game is the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. I got the Vikings, and I'm playing. The Jets have a very good defense. They have a very good pass defense in Sauce Gardner. But do you play Kirk Cousins? Well, Kirk Cousins, they're playing at home. Minnesota's playing at home. And it's a 1 o'clock game. I'm playing Kirk Cousins. Definitely playing Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson, who happens to be the third option or the second option for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins loved throwing to the tight end. As soon as TJ Hawkinson joined that team, he was incorporated immediately into the offense. I don't think it's going to change that much in this game. So I'm definitely taking TJ Hawkinson. And before I even say anything, I'll go revert back to the game of Cleveland and Houston. You play Cleveland's defense. Houston's one of the worst scoring teams in the NFL, and Cleveland should take advantage of that. And I'm also saying in this Minnesota game, you play Greg Joseph. I think they're going to be putting in a lot of positions to either score a touchdown or field goals. And Greg Joseph will be a good kicker to grab this week. Mr. FSP, you have the New York Jets.
Play Wilson. That's it.
All right, let's go on to the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. I have the Giants. Mr. FSP will have his Washington Commanders. And I'm not playing Daniel Jones in this. It's the division rival. And I know it's playing in New York, but I don't think in a 2-quarterback league, I would play Daniel Jones. In a single quarterback league, you can get better options than Daniel Jones. And as your single quarterback. Play Saquon Barkley. The offense rotates or moves when Saquon Barkley is moving. You play Saquon Barkley. That's it. Mr. FSP, Washington Commanders.
Listen. Gallup is returning. So that means Gallup and Slayton are going to be starting wide receivers. So is the starting tight end. Will Gallup do anything against this Washington secondary? I don't know because St. Juice is out. He is next to Kyle Fuller is the better cornerback. Bobby McCain, a safety, plays nickel. So that might be a little bit of a hiccup for Washington's defense, but Chase Young returns. They'll mix him in. I think there's going to be pressure on Jones, a lot from that defense. So I'm playing Washington's defense. On the offensive side of the ball, uh, Gibson is playing. However, he's been battling a foot injury all week. He got a decent practice in on Friday. I think they're going to force feed Terry the ball because he's 60 yards short of some franchise record. So I think they're going to try to get him that record this week. But Brian Robinson is turning out to be the player to have. He's getting more and more touches. He's starting to learn to run behind his pads. I think he had like 18, no, he had like 20 something rushes last week. That's the second week in a row that he had 20 plus rushes. Washington's trying to become a power run team, which they should have been in the beginning. So I'll definitely play him. I'm not going to play Taylor Heineke, though. I'm not because he hasn't eclipsed 200 yards passing, but once since he started. Once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. But he does spread the ball out. So I would say the pass catchers are in for a treat. Logan Thomas had, I think, 5 targets last week for with 3 receptions. Not many yards though. So look out for that offense to provide some points as you head into your fantasy playoff push or playoff. Or if you're sitting on the bench, just watch.
Okay. Next game is the Tennessee Titans at the Philadelphia Eagles. Very interesting game. These two teams are, if I'm not mistaken, leading their division. And Tennessee is visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is who I have as the Philadelphia Eagles side, who is one of the candidates for an MVP. And I think in this game, he may be limited in running the football because Tennessee is one of the top 10 teams against the run. They suck against the pass. So Jalen Hurts sits back in the pocket and can pick apart the Tennessee Titans defense with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yes, I'm telling you to play them. You play Miles Sanders, but you play him in a flex and temper your expectations because the fact is, like I said, they are very good against the run. Very good against the run. Mr. FSP, you got Tennessee.
Of course, you want to play the king. The king is going to do what he needs to do. The interesting part is I'm not sure how many times the king is facing Dominic and Sue. I think Dominic and Sue and Derrick Henry collision is imminent. And I think that's going to be a good smack. I think King Henry runs over the smallish linebackers of Philadelphia. But besides that, I think Tennessee's going to try to feature Traylon Burks. This is the guy that they traded A.J. Brown for. They drafted a rookie that's just like A.J. Brown, except younger and trying to learn the game. I think they're going to try to feature him, and it's not going to be a good day, especially if Darius Slay is on him. I think Gardner Johnson is injured, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So there is some safety issues there. So if they get past Slade or the other quarterback, Traylon Burks can burn. We'll see what happens. But yes, I'm going to tell you, go ahead, play your normals, right? Just play your normals. Tannehill is not that dude, so don't worry about him. But I'm going to say Burks and Henry. Austin Hooper is a flash in the pan. I wouldn't worry too much about him. Philly's actually better at covering the tight end this year. So I wouldn't even worry about a bum that isn't. I shouldn't call him a bum. He's in the NFL. I would worry about playing a guy that is a maybe, so to speak. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. I'm taking the Rams. Mr. FSP will take the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to be short and sweet. two players. That's it. Don't play the quarterback. Either Bryce Perkins or John Wolford. I don't know who's actually going to start. Uh,
Wolford.
okay. But Kyron Williams, I told him about a few weeks ago, and it looks like he's taken over that, or going to take over that main running RB1 running back for the Los Angeles Rams. Plus, the fact is the Rams are pretty much out of the playoff push, so they're going to want to see who they have in a young player, and such as Kyron Williams, because they've been looking for a running back all season. Like I told you earlier, Cam Akers wasn't the one. He's still not the one. They got rid of Darrell Henderson. So the only options I give you is Kyron Williams and Tyler Higbee. I can't even Tutu Atwell. He'll maybe get 5 catches, maybe 30, 40 yards, in my opinion. I don't think he's a viable fantasy option, but who they got to throw to? Let me put it that way. Who they got to throw to? They're going to have to throw to somebody. They're not just going to strictly run the ball. They're going to try to run the ball on Seattle, who can get run on. And I would play the Seattle defense in this. Mr. FSP, you got Seattle.
Well, since you started with defense, let me bring that up. The young kid Kobe Bryant is probably going to be on Van Jefferson, who is their number one guy. Tutu Atwell is the deep threat. So if he does get 5 catches, they're either going to be bubble screens or deep balls, which Seattle's defense is susceptible to. With that being the case, some people love Geno, some people don't. Geno's efficient. The guy you got to play, though, 2 guys you got to play, in my opinion, Walker and Metcalf. Surprisingly, both are doing way better than predicted. But the problem is this. This is supposed to have been a hard game for Seattle because the Rams are supposed to be good this year. Because they got all their easier games out of the way at the beginning, so they look like world beaters. Now, Seattle's going to start losing more. So, Gainwell and Metcalf are probably garbage time points for you. Just letting you know, it is what it is. Don't expect much from Geno. Don't. That's it.
Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco boasts one of the best defenses in the league. I would play Jimmy Garoppolo against this Miami team. They're playing at home, and I don't think Miami's defense is not world beaters. Let me put it that way. And the fact is, Jimmy G has a lot of options. Christian McCaffrey, you know you're playing him. Brandon Ayuk, you know you should be playing him. Deebo Samuel is dealing with injury. I think he's questionable today.
He's playing.
And the fact is, George Kittle is a no-brainer. Somebody's going to have to suffer in this offense. You know, it's not going to be CMC because CMC is a running back. Likes to run the football. Kyle Shanahan loves to run the football. Mr. FSP doesn't know what he's talking about, but that's okay.
I do. He's got a bad knee. Did you read the reports?
Did you read the report that he practiced fully?
Yes, but said that he barely missed a serious injury last week, and with them trying to do what they're going to do, his usage will be limited today. It's not going to be. It's a pace count, so to speak. It's like a pace count. So,
if you have Christian McCaffrey, you're playing.
I didn't say don't play him. I'm just saying.
Line. If you have Christian McCaffrey, you have to play him. And the fact is, a lot of people, and I don't know why, but people have to think about this. A lot of people are picking up Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is a special teams player.
So was Jeff Wilson. Remember that.
Jordan Mason is Jeff Wilson is no longer on the team.
I know. He
Jordan
started
Mason is a special team player.
this dude.
Tyson Price was the direct backup and was only put on a practice, not practice squad. He was inactive, healthy not, I would say healthy scratch. Yeah, it was a healthy scratch. He was inactive last game, and Jordan Mason took his spot. Okay, well now they're down because Elijah Mitchell is out for the rest of the season, and Tyson Price is in my opinion, is the running back to get. A lot of people disagree. That's fine. That's fine. But you read the reports, and it's more likely that Tyson Price is going to get the backup work, and Jordan Mason, because he handles special teams, will not be that heavily involved in the offense. Anyway, George Kittle is my last guy. And do you play the San Francisco defense? That's the question I got. That's the question I got. Do you play the San Francisco defense, or stream another D? I would if you have, and I know Mr. FSP won't agree with this, but that's okay. If you have the Giants defense, I would stream them. If you have if you have the Giants defense, I would stream them. If you have the Seattle defense, I would use them against the Rams.
Well, okay, that one I can agree with. Here's okay. I don't know if you're throwing it to me or not. Are you?
Excuse me? I'm done. Go.
Okay. Firstly, Q. I'm not starting San Francisco's defense. I'm starting Cleveland's defense.
I already talked about that, but okay.
Well, but you didn't mention it when you said streaming. You didn't mention it in the answer. So I agree with Jerry on Seattle. Totally disagree with him on the Giants. But I would start if I had space on my roster where I'd have to give up a valuable player, I would pick up Cleveland's defense and start them against the worst offense in the NFL, which is Houston. Plain and simple. If you had no choice, or if your choices are like Tennessee or something like that, nah. I'd pick up Pittsburgh. I'd pick up Pittsburgh. Again, contingent on dropping a player that I really don't need. That's the difference. As far as the game goes, Jerry made reference to special teams, and Jerry does not like special teams at all. He don't like kickers. He don't like nothing special teams.
Where do you get that from? Whatever.
It's because you don't like kickers. But Jeff Wilson
but I mentioned kickers. Okay, no problem.
Jeff Wilson Jr. was a special team player that took over the starting running back position out of necessity. He then got traded to Miami, who he plays with now, and is the starting running back in Miami. Jeff Wilson Jr., just like Mason, was the kick returner. And just like Mason, was revered as somebody that the offense could use. Jimmy G said it this week. I don't know if he was saying it just to blow smoke, but he was talking about how they plan to use him more this week. Last week he had 5 rushes in replacing Elijah Mitchell to complement Christian McCaffrey. Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to have more than 5 rushes for Miami. This is a revenge game. You traded me. I'm in a better position, but you traded me. So I think he's going to have a good game. Of course, Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I don't think San Francisco's secondary is built to deal with those two. They play a lot of zone. I'm not going to put any stock right now in Gesicki or Gesicki because I think the linebackers of San Francisco are way better at covering the tight end. And they're pretty decent at stopping the run, but Jeff Wilson Jr. gave them fits in practice. That's how he became the starter when everybody went down. Remember, they drafted Trey Sermon. Didn't he surpass Trey Sermon, who was the second-round draft pick? I'm just saying.
Same deal. More, yep. More, Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. are both on a revenge game, and both of them leapfrogged a draft pick. So Pierce or whatever his name is might be a draft pick, but he got leapfrogged last week at least by Mason. So yeah, you got to play those. I like the Morris uh, Wilson Jr. combination. I think it's gonna be a heavy run game. Really do.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which will be the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll take the Raiders. Mr. FFP is going to take the Chargers. Come on, Justin Herbert. Anyway, Derek Carr, two quarterback league. I'm not feeling Derek Carr this week. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams. I know Josh Jacobs is dealing with a injury. If you have a Zamir White on your waiver wire, I suggest you picking them up. Definitely picking them up this late in the game, going into your playoffs. If you're in a playoff run, you only have one more week after this week. In most leagues, they have playoffs 15, 16, and 17. So if Josh Jacobs is banged up, which he is, he had over 30 carries or touches last week. So he's kind of, I wouldn't say wore out, but worn down. And he's dealing with a lower leg injury. Zamir White. Pick up Zamir White just to be on the safe side. But you play Josh Jacobs, you play Devontae Adams quite naturally. Those are the two main guys for the Las Vegas Raiders. Anyone else is hit or miss. Mr. FSP, you got the Chargers.
I stick with the Chargers. Listen, a guy that has filled in admirably, and I've given him praises over the past 4 to 5 weeks, is DeAndre Carter. He scored in every game the past 3 games. Another special teamer. That's a good thing. That stepped in for a guy that is definitely injury prone. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Mike Williams, he only was healthy enough to get a new contract. Now, you have him, you have the rookie, and you've got Allen, along with Austin Eckler. This should be a no-brainer. Herbert, Eckler, Carter might be a head scratcher for some of you guys, but when you're looking for that player off the waiver wire, he's probably one of the top guys, I believe. And Everett is also a very good option in this game.
All right, let's go to the 8 o'clock game on Sunday night, which will be the Indianapolis Colts visiting Dallas Cowboys. And I'll go to the Dallas Cowboys first.
Okay.
And we'll go to the Vic will take the Colts. Play Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of fantasy relevant players in this game from week to week. And this should be a good game to showcase those options that they have. Dallas, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, and Dalton Schultz. Mr. FSP, you got the Colts.
Q made a very good point last Saturday or yesterday on the FSP show, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He said he believes Dallas's defense is going to just smother JT. And I agree with him. I think Jonathan Taylor should have been traded a long time ago if he's on your fantasy team, but some people held out hope. And if you're fortunate enough to make it to the playoffs with him on your team, seems though he was the number 1 overall pick in most leagues, you drafted well. But I don't see him doing much in this game. Trayvon Diggs is going to be there, so I don't expect much from Michael Pittman Jr. Matt Ryan, again, He's a turnover machine and a statue, so he's going to get sacked. So I can only really tell you to play the player that you drafted number 1 overall, Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, let's move on to the last game of the week. The New Orleans Saints against their division rival, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got Tom Brady and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mr. FSP will take the New Orleans Saints. Come on, Alvin Kamara. Anyway, in this game, New Orleans seems like they have Tom Brady's number. Pressure up the middle. Pressure. And this is the dilemma I have. Do you play Tom Brady and all of his resume in this game? They're playing at home. Tom Brady has a 5-5 record against the New Orleans Saints. So it's 50-50. Is Tom Brady going to give you enough fantasy points to be relevant in the quarterback position? He's borderline. I'm saying in a 2-quarterback league, you can play Tom Brady. In a single quarterback league, no. No. 2-quarterback league, you can play Tom Brady. Tom Brady has bad dreams about the New Orleans Saints. And that's a fact. He had bad dreams about the New Orleans Saints because they are one of the teams that played Tom Brady the best. One of the teams that played Tom Brady and frustrates Tom Brady the most.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
Okay? So I can't tell you to outright go and play him on a single quarterback league. 2-quarterback, absolutely. Single, he's 5-5 against the Saints, and he has some of his worst games against the New Orleans Saints. So, in that vein, if Leonard Fournette is limited, you play Rachaad White. I told you about Rachaad White weeks ago, and he's coming to light right now in a prime time position. You play Rachaad White in this game at the flex. Not a running back 1 or running back 2. He's a very good flex player in this position. You play Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Julio Jones you don't know. He's hit or miss. He's a very good wide receiver. Tom Brady likes throwing the football, but you don't know how much he's going to throw the football to him. That's the problem. He may score a touchdown, or he may not. You don't know. I like the kicker because I think they're going to be put in positions to score either a touchdown or definitely field goals. So I like Ryan Suckup in this game. Mr. FSP, you got the New Orleans Saints.
Listen, I don't know if y'all heard Jerry under his breath say, "Come on, Alvin Kamara." There's a reason why he did that, and I'm with him. He might be an old, mean person today for whatever reason, but I agree with him. Alvin Kamara needs to show up. The rumor is that Taysom Hill is going to get more snaps, whether that's in the Wildcat, whether that's playing actual quarterback, whether that's playing running back, whether it's playing tight end. He's supposed to be on the field. So I got to tell you to play him and Alvin Kamara. No Juwan Johnson. Chris Olave, of course you're going to play Chris Olave. But since we're making this short, I'm going to leave it at Taysom Hill is a must start for me this week. It's a Monday night. If you have him, they're going to showcase him. They have nobody else. Who else does New Orleans have other than Alvin? Nobody. Chris Olave, okay, but you take him away, which Tampa Bay can do. What do you got left? Nothing. I know you got to get out of here, and you will be out of here before 11 o'clock your time. So thank you, everybody. Please watch on Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, FSP show with me. It's me, FSP, along with JT and Q. Q gives us teasers on that show. I don't know if Jerry's going to incorporate it here, but We're gonna get you out of here on time, old man.
All right. With that being said, hope that you get a fantasy win. Hopefully that it either improves your position to get into the playoffs or it solidifies your position in the playoffs. And you move on to week 14 where you don't have to worry about getting into the playoffs. That you're already solidified.
That's what I'm
I'll be back here again, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday afternoon, talking about week 14, which is the final week of most people's regular season in fantasy. Can't believe it's week 14, week 13, 14, whatever. Can't believe it's almost over for this year. But I talk about fantasy every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, regardless if it's a football season or not. I talk about fantasy football nonstop, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday morning. That being said, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy your Sunday and stay safe. See ya.